We were made to serve God, called by many names, through time, space, and language. We were made to give praise to that source of life. We must pay our homage, respecting the earth, the wind and trees, all them rivers and seas, all lives, not just humankind. That's devotion to the divine. But because of different belief systems, each one will say what works for them. So rejoice, give praise, and say amen. Amen. When I give praise, I say Aje. As I wake each day a brand new dawn, in spite of the odds I'm moving on. Aje, Aje. I can't give up, persistence is the key. One day I'll have the victory. Aje, Aje, Aje. So thankful, Aje. Ever grateful, Aje, Aje. Challenges we would face as we seek to climb that ladder of success. Enemies we bound to make with each step of growth. Jealousy walks with progress. But remember who God bless. No man curse, but my people shall face the worst. Go both with faith, goes inside. The darkest shadow has a bright light. Blessings come to the grateful one. Never ever forget where you came from. So rejoice, give praise, say Om Shanti. Om Shanti. When I give praise, I say Aje. Hurts and pains of the past, thankful for all. Because of them I'm standing tall. Aje. So many times I failed, fell to the ground, but my ancestors kept me strong. Tenacity, positivity, positive salutations to you and welcome to the Feminine Drive. I am your host, Warrior Empress, and we are inside the Gael another Friday, another time, where we are here to discuss real women, real life issues, real talk. Yeah? You can find me on Instagram as the Shantwell Queen. D as in dynamic, Shantwell Queen. Or you can go up on my YouTube channel, Warrior Empress, where you can view past episodes of The Feminine Drive. And of course on Facebook, I am Warrior Empress. So how we doing this Friday? How is everything? How you coping with the earlier curfew hours? Well, I see this weekend, which is Father's Day weekend, we inside from 10 a.m., yeah? Well, it's plenty love-ups for them fathers. Love-ups, love-ups. They can't go nowhere, yeah? Fathers cannot run away this weekend. We inside. Huh? That's a good thing, man. We will get through it. We will get through it. Let's not fuss and make our lives more difficult than it already is. Don't add no stress at all. Don't add any stress. Work with what you have. This too shall pass. So this evening, we're dealing with a very familiar topic. The topic of relationships. Yeah? Now, there is nothing on this earth that is perfect. Not even a relationship. Whether it is a cordial relationship or an intimate relationship. Nothing is perfect. We have ups and downs in everything. But, you know, everyone's threshold level is different, yeah? And those are things we have to respect. So that what you could deal with, the warrior mightn't be able to deal with, and vice versa, right? So many things, there are so many different contributing factors why relationships fail or why they are successful, right? So we want to look at both areas. Why it is they fail, why it is people give up so easily, why we have so much, why the divorce rate is higher, because now, especially in this COVID times, we are hearing reports of higher cases of divorce, right? Divorce rates are higher. People want out. I can't take it, boy. Pressure with COVID and pressure with you too now, boy. I go on, I can't deal with it. So even domestic violence, right? There is a higher rate of domestic violence because some people cannot cope. They cannot cope. External and internal affairs. They just can't deal with it. You know, the other day, girls talk. Some friends, mostly female, we were discussing this relationship issue. And one of my girlfriends said, listen, warrior, if I ain't have food, I go whip up something. I go scrape up something if it's rice and butter, and I go eat that, and I'm good to go. If I have money, the same thing. I keep my tail home, I have no money, I'm good. She said, but you see man problems? Yeah, nah. I can't deal with that, you know. Right? She said, I can't deal with that. And I want to agree with the sister where I am concerned. I don't know, we weren't trained to deal with these things. So it's by happenstance, trial and error as we go along, you know, we get a feel of things and we work it out. Because everybody's situation, as I said, is different. But this evening, we have a beautiful lady, an expert in the field, right? Miss Carissa Daniel, who we would join or bring in on the set after we go for our commercial break. And this lady would give us some insight, right? So I'm sure you're going to hear something that could serve you in good stead to make the thing work a little better. Because, as I said, whilst everybody's situation is different, and at the end of the day, the final choice is yours, it is good to try. It is good to exhaust all avenues before training the sponge, yeah? So we're going to go for a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will bring on set Miss Carissa Daniel. So stay tuned. Ijo Olorisha Charitable Organization. Olorisha Charitable Organization, Unification of People Worldwide. We exist to serve humanity. We help those in need. We help with clothes, food, shelter, and so much more. Today, we urge you to help the helpers by contributing to JMMB bank account 007 7000 17168. Thank you for helping us to continue helping those in need of help. Call us at 464-4264. Aje. And we're back inside. Yes, we are back inside the Feminine Drive, and I am your host, Warrior Empress. We in the Gael. Yeah? And for those of you who just joined us, welcome to the Feminine Drive. Welcome. And we are discussing this evening family matters. A very, very important, not family matters, relationship matters. A very, very important subject matter. Yeah? Because if the relationship ain't going good, it's going to affect everything and everybody. So, let me don't delay any longer. Let's bring on set Miss Carissa Daniel. Ooh. Welcome, Carissa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're bright like the sunshine. I love your energy. How you going? How you going?
I am absolutely fantastic and so grateful and thankful to be here to, to vibes with you and to really and truly to share some insights from my personal experience and my own journey with Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the world.
And this is fantastic. And the feminine drive is about, as we say, real women, real life issues, real talk. It's a let you hear down show. We real as can be, because people like you to be real and to, reach them. And that is the objective of the show. So the subject matter, no stranger to you, relationship matters. Man and woman business, or, well, it's not just man and woman business. We want to be balanced across the board. It could be woman and woman business, man and man business, wherever, however you fit in. Love is love, relationship is relationship, and we want to give respect to all. Do what works for you and what's best. Long story short.
I love that.
Yes, do what works for you and what's best, whatever brings you happiness. So, before I brought you on set, I was saying that we have, incidents, higher than usual incidents of even domestic violence and even cases of people wanting divorce. They want to get out.
Yeah.
And we cannot turn a blind eye to the fact that COVID is a contributing factor. Because you may have a relationship that was already under pressure before COVID. Yeah. And with that additional stress, people say, nah boy, I can't deal with this. They probably grew apart before and stayed in the marriage or stayed in the home because of different reasons, children, finances, etc. And as I said, the rubber hit the road with COVID and they say, I really can't deal with this now. I really can't deal with this. Tell me something. Let's go, let me see if we could go to the preamble of the thing. So man meet woman, they fall in love, thing nice, they decide to live together or legally married. And then they start to hit some bumps in the road and the relationship start to go downwards. What are some of the common factors that would cause these problems?
Well, couple factors would contribute to that. One, oftentimes our motives for entering relationships are not always the best for us. So sometimes we enter relationships with the hope that the person is going to complete us, with the hope that the love that we should be sharing for ourselves, or the love that we should be feeling for ourselves, that we will get it from the other person and the person will make us whole and complete. And that is a very tall order to ask of anyone, because no one can make us whole and complete. Only that is our job 100% of the way. We are responsible for that. And so sometimes when we enter relationships with that need that that person is going to make us feel whole and complete, of course we get disappointed when they can't fulfill it. So in the beginning, of course, it feels all so great and heads in the cloud and oh my gosh, I want to be your everything and you're my everything. And then at some point in time, I know it's designed that way biologically, because that is what causes us to be attracted to the other person. So we have the chemicals occurring in the body that will stimulate us to cause us to feel all of this great feeling. But at some point in time, the clouds are going to clear and we are going to come to the realization like, I can't keep up with that. I cannot keep up with that. And so you have a situation where one or both persons become disappointed because they cannot meet each other's expectations. And now the expectations are tall orders. that neither one could really fulfill, because it is the individual's job to love and complete themselves. And I think that that is one of the biggest one, where we have these unreasonable expectations of our partners that they can't meet. And in addition to that, we don't even have the conversation to say, this is what I need or I require, or this is what I desire from you. So that we enter a relationship and, you know, it's good, it's nice, it feels good. We're caught up in the emotions and the hormones. We're caught up in the hormones of the experience, but we don't take the time to consciously curate, all right, or consciously decide, all right, this is what I want. What do you want? So the next thing would be compatibility, which is extremely important. So we say, I love you, yes, and we mean it. We mean it. A lot of times we don't fully understand what it means, because we have not started with the love of ourselves. And if we can't love ourselves, we can't love someone else. It starts within us. And so therefore, we have these ideas of, yes, this person has to complete us. And then we have the ideas of the compatibility. That was the second one, the compatibility, where yes, I like you, you like me. It seems as if we have things in common, and let's go down the road. But we're really not compatible. We're not aligned with one another in terms of, what are my values? What are your values? What are your goals? What are my goals? Can we support each other as we're going down the road? So then we go down the road and then we realize, well, you know what? I'm outgrowing you. And you outgrow me. You're going in that direction and I'm going in this direction. We're not going together. So then compatibility is the other one. So those are the two main ones that I would start off with, to say that usually causes a disintegration along the road, because once the hormones wear off, once the excitement of it wear off, and we actually get into life, usually just, it's the purpose of this.
And fantastic. I mean, you start off, as they say, you hit the ground running. You know, you touched two important points, and you spoke about, we always feel our partner ought to complete us. They're supposed to fill that void in our lives, and we pressure them to do so. And I'm going to deal with that first before I go on to compatibility. And you use a nice word, align. You know, persons can be together and be individuals. And when you speak that with some people, they cannot wrap their head around that. What you mean, be in a marriage, yet be an individual? What do you mean? They don't understand that. And I want you to expand on that a bit, that we can be together in a relationship. Two people can be in a relationship, in a marriage, yet be individuals. Could you expand on that a bit?
Most definitely. So we want to be able to maintain our individuality, because that is what then creates the hybrid that we desire. So you as an individual man, you as an individual, whatever type of relationship it is, right? So we'll be expansive in that. You as that individual and the other person as that individual, before you came together, you had your own thing going on. And it is because of your uniqueness and your individuality, which is what drew the person to you in the first place, right?
That's right.
We all have our unique qualities, and we want to be able to continuously stand in that. However, now we're bringing two elements. I call it an us thing. We're bringing this individual and this individual together to not then to enmesh, and so that the way I think is the way that you think, or the way that I am is the way that you are. No, it is the individuality coming together that actually causes us to grow and to expand. Because if I have a perspective, a way of seeing the world, and of course, this requires us to be open and receptive to other people's perspective, right? And you have a perspective, and we come together and we are mature enough to bring both of them together to create that hybrid, then you are better for it. I am better for it.
Yes.
But if it is that we are looking for sameness, if we're just looking for continuous sameness, where's the growth? Where's the expansion? How can iron sharpen iron? How can I sharpen you? If it is that we feel that, now that we're together, it means therefore that I think the way that you think the way that I think, and that's how it is. I think it's a big misconception. And so what we always want is that our relationships focus is growth. That is one of the most important and valuable opportunities that a relationship offers an individual, one of growth. Because when we are in such an intimate relationship with someone, a romantic relationship, it brings out a lot in us.
Yes.
That it would not otherwise bring out in other types of relationships, like our family relationships or friendships. Romantic relationships particularly brings out these parts of ourselves that sometimes are hidden.
Well, that's if the individual choose to be open and free with their partner. It will bring out that. Now, again, when an individual recognize also that no one is responsible for his or her happiness, your happiness is dependent on you, then all those qualities will come out. But if you believe that your partner is responsible for making you happy, then I'm not so sure if those things will happen. Yeah?
Actually, they will. They still will happen, and it will happen even more pronounced, actually, because now you will then, and there is an awareness that is required as well from both parties, because a lot of us, we get into relationships because of the way that it was modeled for us when we were younger, and I think that is an important point to also make note of. And I think it's going to be the third reason why when we're down the road, merry down the street, and then, everything gets turned over. The boat gets turned over down the stream. Because a lot of us, we are carrying around a lot of childhood wounds as it pertains to relationships. And so we are essentially mimicking what we would have seen in our childhood and not consciously deciding
what we want for ourselves.
Is what we want. No.
Exactly.
We are operating from our conditioning and our programming. So whatever our childhood relationships were like, whatever was modeled for us, whether or not it's our parents, whatever the dominant relationships were around us, that is what we usually just act out.
Even societal, as you said, even societal,
yes.
Because, we live in a society where knowingly or unknowingly, we try to be like the Joneses.
Yes.
But we are not in the Joneses' house to know what really goes on behind closed doors. But what we see on the outside, we wish we could be like them. And that's another pressure we put upon ourselves when we enter relationships. You talk about alignment, and that's a very, very, I love that word. People need to be aligned. And I think we think alignment is, again, two individuals attracted to each other and, the excitement and the hormones. But alignment obviously means something more. Tell us a little more about that alignment.
So I would say, for me, alignment is where you share the same values. What are your personal values? What is the other person's personal values? What are their principles? What are their goals? And these are some of the conversations that we don't have. Quite recently, I was joking, I'm looking back at my past relationships and I asked myself, what is it we used to talk about early in the relationship? Like, what? What kind of conversations are we having? And so you find that people don't have those conversations about those important things that eventually come back to haunt you later on in a relationship. So 2-3 years down the road, it's like you're now having a conversation about, but I didn't know that you wanted to do that, or I didn't know that this is what you didn't want, because we fail to have the conversation or dive deeper into those things. And honestly, I don't think it's our fault either. It's not our fault, because again, relationship is something that we didn't learn how to have. And believe it or not, a lot of us think that, all right, let's just get into a relationship and we'll figure it out. But there are certain things like how to communicate. There are certain things like, all right, when we reach this conflict, how do we deal with it? And so because we don't have these conversations early, we never think about alignment. We are just usually focused on, I like you, you like me, let's be one big happy family.
But Carissa,
usually that's what happens.
Yeah, but the things, the elements you just identified are all physical attributes of alignment. What about spiritual alignment? What about alignment of energies?
Love that. So what I mentioned wasn't necessarily physical, it's the values. What are your value system? Yeah, and your principles, those what guides you. And yes, energy is also important. Your spirituality. That is something that I've noticed that a lot of people, there's conflict with that. And I'm not talking about religion, that's different. But in terms of spirituality and how you are with your being. So I'll give you an example. So we are energetic beings. What that means, we are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings in this human form. And as spiritual beings, we attract energy, and it's important that we are continuously doing this work to engineer ourselves so that we can continuously be the best versions of ourselves in all regards, mind, body, and spirit. And so you also want to be able to have a partner or attract a partner that has that same type of perspective, essentially. Because if you are going along your spiritual path or your energetic path or whatever term that you want to use to describe it, and that takes you on a certain journey, you want to be able to share that with your partner and your person as well. And sometimes when you are not in alignment spiritually and energetically, it can also be a cause of contention, because this person might be like, but what were you really doing? What is all of that about? You're into crystals and you're into this and you're into the other. And so that too can cause a conflict. And I think the Bible also talks about that being equally yoked. And that is my understanding of being equally yoked, where we have that alignment spiritually, where we share. And I think that is one of the biggest ones, where we share. Not necessarily doesn't have to have the same expression as the other person, but there is that awareness of you being a spiritual being and you are on this journey of your human development.
I mean, there's so much we could talk about specific to the relationship and why things would not work. And you just identify alignment and the way you see alignment. And I agree that apart from what you mentioned earlier, that people don't have the conversation, or they may have it before, while they're courting. Well, I don't know if people are court anymore, but, in the early part of it, when the thing nice and sweet, they will talk about all what they want to do, and the ideas may sound nice and it lining up with the same thing you want to do. But when they realize now, they live together, they are not aligned, or they don't share the same value system, we have a problem. I also think the institution of relationships or commitment, and let me take it direct to marriage. We have been cultured in this part of the world to believe that marriage means ownership. Your own people, right? For the most part, we have been cultured, as you said, what was impressed upon our minds, the things that we learn from society or otherwise. Marriage or a committed relationship means ownership. And that also could cause a lot of problems in relationship because nobody likes to feel bogged down. Don't matter how much loving you like, nobody likes to feel stifled. So won't you say that also could cause problems because all before things nice, but we start to live together and you're calling down my phone, I can't breathe. Would you say that also could cause problems? That ownership, that element of ownership.
Most definitely it can cause challenges. But I also want to say that it would not have started in the marriage only. We would have seen evidence of it earlier as well in terms of the way that they are. But probably, because again, we're all caught in the clouds.
Carissa, let me tell you. I want to, listen, trust me, it have people could real a girl. You don't see everything before you're married. You don't see everything. People say if you pay attention, you must have seen that before you're married. Not everything you see. Not everything. Because I think if people really show their true colors, if I show in where I want to own you, and you can't go nowhere, you can't talk to this one, you can't talk to that one, you really feel a person going and married to me? No. So we play it cool and we understanding, both sides of the fence, and then I'm married to you now, so nice. I own you. I have you know I want you. I don't think I don't think it only surfaces when the person get married.
Yeah, and I agree. I think there are two categories. So they are the ones who act, and then they are the ones who showed you, but you didn't pay attention. And there's an example that I want to give. Just this week, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she and this guy, they were dating, and I was really happy with her that she was out there dating and stuff like that. And then this week we spoke and she said, Carissa, I called it off. I said, why? What happened? She said, because they are not in alignment. She was very much aware because of the things that he was saying. He said that I want my woman that when I come home, that food on the table, and nothing is wrong with this.
No, I'm sorry for laughing. I'm sorry.
And these are young people I'm talking about in their 30s, right? She wants food on the table, hot food on the table when he gets home. She's working as well. And he wants these certain things that he doesn't want her to be going out a lot. Right? So my darling friend, in her wisdom, she said, I will check for you, but I am not in alignment with that.
Red flag.
And she was able to call it off as much as she liked him. So I want to point to those situations where they are showing you who they are, but because of different motives, it could be you feel that you're 40-something and time running out. It could be that, oh my gosh, I really like this person, and I introduced them to my family already. I'm going to back out now.
Or pregnant.
Or pregnant.
What would do?
And I'm going to back out.
Yes, that is true.
So there are other motives, or you will then tell yourself, which is a classic for some of us women, I got changed him. He got changed, man. He got changed.
Or people also sit down in relationship or accept relationship. You're right. They see the writing on the wall, but they turn a blind eye because, hey, the person financially stable. That's another that's another very important factor for some people. I ain't care.
Definitely.
You see me? The watcher the scene, financially stable, and as you said, we go work it out. He go change. As he get older, he go change. Well, I know people who in marriages 40 plus years and the individual ain't change, eh? And
Yes.
what you find happening is that the person who was hoping for change, they're losing their mind because the other
Of course.
individual did not change, the other individual remained themselves. They're quite happy because they stayed being true to themselves. You, on the other hand, hoping for a change and the change never come, and like you're losing your mind. And
Yes.
that's what usually happens to persons who go into relationship, I guess, looking for a change.
Yes.
Right?
We're looking to change you as a person. And a lot of times we women are guilty of that, where we see certain qualities in our partners and we believe that we are fixers, and so we want to fix them to be the way that we think that they should be. And of course, we're setting ourselves up because we cannot fix or change anyone. We don't have that power. It's only
Correct.
the other person can change, and I wouldn't even use the word fix, can change when they are ready to change. So then acceptance becomes one of the critical foundations in a relationship, that you accept this person as they are, right where they are, knowing that they're forever becoming, but accept them as they are. And if you cannot accept the person, leave them alone.
Exactly.
Leave them alone.
Exactly. And you're correct. Accept people as they are. And you see, if we going back to individualism, so that if you are focused on your life, on your destiny, we all came here to fulfill our destiny. No two people have the same destiny. And if we could coexist in the relationship, adding value to each other, then you wouldn't try to change nobody because you have to fulfill your destiny, right? Which might be to be the greatest basketball player, and your partner likes singing. What you want your partner to do? Put on the mic and play basketball with you? You understand? So once we recognize who we are, and as you said earlier, when we weren't taught to love who we are and to know
Yes.
our purpose, we put pressure on people to complete
Yes.
us. We have it so wrong side
Yeah.
and so mixed up. Carissa, we want to go for another commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to go into why do people stay in toxic relationships. Yeah? So stay with us, we'll be back
Great.
soon. So we're back inside, yes, and the subject at hand is relationship affairs. Very, very trending topic. No perfect relationship. As we said, everybody had their own thing to deal with. Everybody have something to deal with in a relationship. It's either you could deal with it or you cannot deal with it. Some people are able to handle things well, some not so well, you know. But we're discussing relationship affairs and some of the contributing factors that would lend to problems. What causes problems. And our guest this evening is Carissa Daniel, who is a spiritual teacher, right? And she is versed in the area of relationships. As she said, she's speaking from her own experience, which is one of the best places you could talk from. Yeah, when you're talking from your own experience. So before we went to the break, Carissa, I said we will go into toxic relationships. And let me allow you to identify firstly what is a toxic relationship.
So there are many toxic is a word that we kind of used in a very broad way.
Yes.
My preference is unhealthy. That's just my preference
Yeah.
because, I believe that everything is designed to serve us if we would allow it to. And even the unhealthy relationships that we find ourselves in, it can potentially help us to grow out of it. So that one of the main reasons why we are drawn to unhealthy relationships, it is because of our programming. It goes right back to that. It goes right back to our childhood.
Yes.
Most of all of our life experiences actually go back to our childhood. And it's usually between the ages of 3 to 7 that that imprint occurs. And then what we do is that we keep replicating it and repeating it over and over and over again. And so what happens is that at some point in time in our childhood, we would have seen something over and over again, consistently and repetitively, and that became a part of our subconscious programming. And once it became a part of our subconscious programming, it became automatic. So we didn't have to think about it again.
Mm-hmm.
And so people who experience unhealthy, toxic relationships, it is because of that programming that would have happened in their childhood. It could have been, let's just say, they experience, or somebody in their environment experienced emotional abuse, experience probably physical abuse, or any type of abuse, or any type of unhealthy behavior that became a part of their subconscious programming, which then started to run on autopilot, so that now as they grew and they entered relationships, they are just acting it out. And also, sometimes in our childhood, we make conclusions from a very narrow perspective. As children, we don't have much experiences. We didn't have much experiences, but we are looking at life and we're trying to make sense of it. And so we create these stories and ideas of what life is from that very early age, which then becomes the eyes through which we look. So we have these filters on that we're looking at life, and we're only experiencing life as those filters. It's for the same reason. If it is that we have a filter on that says black cars, right? That's all we're going to see. We're not going to see the yellow, the blue, the orange, the green. So it's the same thing in relationships or in our adult lives. We have the filters of our childhood self on, and so therefore we keep seeing and attracting those same people who will just continually help us to act it out. However, and this is usually where the work comes in terms of the coaching and the, helping people to see these patterns now and then to break free from them. Because if you don't become aware that, okay, I keep attracting the same people. It's different people, but I keep attracting this person that looks this particular way. Probably like your father, probably like your uncle, right? Or I keep attracting these, and note my words, attract. You are the common denominator. And you keep attracting these situations. It is because you usually have a subconscious programming running that is creating these situations. And so what you want to do is that you want to then become conscious and aware of it so that you can break the pattern. And so it always starts with you looking at your belief system. What do I believe about relationships? And that's a question that our audience can ask themselves now. What do I believe about relationships? A lot of women will say, man bad. We say that a lot, right? All man bad, all of them bad. So if you believe at your core that all men are bad, you think you're going to get a good man? How? Your filters of bad men are on, so you're not seeing any of the potential good and healthy men around.
That's true.
And so that is one of the reasons why we end up in those unhealthy relationships. It It is because we are continuously acting out what we would have seen and continuously acting out the programming.
But what about ending up in relationships that didn't start off unhealthy? You end up in relationships that went well. For the first 10 years or so, it went well. And then it became unhealthy. You all outgrow each other. Because remember, people growing. Whether or not your partner is growing at the same rate with you is a different thing. And it's not really your responsibility. As I said, people have the destiny to fulfill. So, yes, I hear you when you say we end up in an unhealthy relationship because some people actually see our ant's nest and go and stand up in it. Right? And then start to dust off the ants and say, oh, shucks, the ant's biting me. Ouch. Right? I know about that. But what about relationships that we go in that didn't start off unhealthy and then it became really bad? And this is what I'm talking about. People, whatever they've been camouflaging, start to come out, right? And things get really bad. So things get really bad. You're in it. You made investments, so you may have children, and you sit down in it. And it's really toxic. It's really bad. There is no peace. There is no peace in the home. You know, it's really bad. There are friends who say, Warrior girl, what you go do? How I go leave now? The children. We buy house together. Money together in joint account. Where are going? Where are going, girl? So, you being the professional, because I could say what I would do. But I am not the professional. I want to give persons who are in such situation some kind of advice.
Yes. So, now, at the end of the day, we all have to search our hearts and do what is best for us. And that is always the first thing. So we can give suggestions, but each and every one of us, we have to search our own hearts to determine what's best for us. Everything in this form, has an expiration date.
Oh, yes.
A lot of times we believe and we bought into the whole fairy tale notion of relationships forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Forever and ever and ever, right? Now, there are relationships that last until a or both parties no longer exist in form. However, there are some relationships that are meant to serve a period of time in our lives, and then we are no more.
Truly.
Because it served its purpose. Many times why those relationships can become toxic is because we keep holding on to something that it's dead, it's gone, it's expired, it's time to let it go. But because, again, we have the programming that forever and ever, that programming running in our heads, the programming that we bought wholesale from all of the movies, all of the soap operas, from Disney.
From your friend relationship.
From your friend relationship that you're looking at and say, that is me. That is mine. That is mine forever and ever and ever, right? We told ourselves this from even since we were children. We have been reading it in all of the books. They have been telling us this. And she lived with her prince happily ever after, forever and ever and ever. That is the stories that is running currently in our subconscious mind, and creating these filters. And so we get into relationships, and yes, it's beautiful for 10 years, but why can't it just be beautiful for 10 years and then you depart? You then say, all right, you serve me, I serve you. Now that requires some awareness and consciousness, right? Yes. Where you recognize that, oh wow, it's just like a job. Let's just look at a job. You go to a job and you come to a place within yourself that you then recognize, okay, this job served me. It's time for me to move on. At some point in time in a relationship, we usually feel it. We feel it. And I know I could say this for most of the relationships that I've been in a lot. Right?
I like you. You're real.
I've been in a lot of relationships. That's why I'm speaking on it now. so that you come to a place where you know within your heart, you feel it, you start it, it's like, I think this is it. But no, you start to think about what you said. You said, oh my gosh, we have money in that account together, and the house and the children, and you start to think of everything to then not depart from it because it's comfortable. And that's the truth. We stay because it's comfortable.
Exactly.
And anything that has reached its expiration date, it will rotten after that. That's the word.
It would not be exactly
rotten.
It will just be existent physically, but it does not serve anybody any good. And people can easily argue, well, all you could say that's easy for you to say. It had children in the relationship. I have a child, I have a daughter, still going to school and this and that. And I could speak from experience, where I was once told children are better off in a happy single parent home than an unhappy home with both parents. But there are a lot of people who will argue that and say, listen, they need to have both parents. And ideally, we know they need to have both parents. Ideally. But what are we teaching them when we have them in a home where every Monday morning is a cuss out with mommy and daddy? What are we teaching them? And you spoke about the programming. We are now programming another young man or another young woman to throw into society for somebody's son or somebody's daughter. Talk the things. Tell me.
Exactly. So I've always said that my parents, I cannot remember them being together. They were together. They have 2 kids together, but I can't remember them being together. But I cannot imagine them being in the same home together. I just I can't imagine it. But it was good for us because my both parents were there. My father, even though he had his own family separate from us, my father was there every day.
So what you're saying, just now, pull up, as they would say, pull up. So your father had his own family?
Yeah, my mother and father, they were no more, and then he had his own family, and my mother had her own family.
Exactly, but he was there in the lives of his children. And this is what I tell people. If the relationship is not working because of the children, the relationship is not working because of you and your partner. To hold the children ransom because of that, you are damaging the children. You all have to be mature enough to be part of the children's life if the relationship can no longer exist. And I like what you said there, that your father was always there. Tell us some more.
Every day, Warrior. Every day my father was there, and I felt his presence. And you know what that taught me is the most important thing that our kids want to know is that their both parents love them, support them, and they are there for them. And yes, when you're living with your both parents, the separation can have a toll on them, but that can also be managed.
Yes.
That can also be managed because, yes, they're used to this, both of you. But as you said, for that child to experience that unhealthy interaction between the 2 persons because we blaming each other, it's you and it's your fault, and none of us taking responsibilities for ourselves, and that child is being exposed to that, just as you said, we're sending that one out into society to repeat the same thing.
Exactly.
And so we want to start thinking beyond our comfort zone because it's really what is comfortable for us. We stay there using the children sometimes, using the kids sometimes as the thing for which we don't want to step out. It is uncomfortable. It is painful. Sometimes it's 10, 15 years of marriage or a relationship. And that sometimes it's challenging. That's the reality. It's challenging for you to say goodbye. And I know from my experience, one particular relationship where it took me about 2 years for me to actually be honest with myself. 2 years because everything was tied. House was tied, money was tied, business was tied, everything was tied together. I'm like, what are you going to do? What am I going
That's why
to do?
that's why you have some people do prenuptials and all that, because when they're ready to hit the road, they don't want anything to keep them back, right? And as you said, the most important thing is being honest and knowing that, listen, we need to do what we have to do for the children, but
Yeah.
we have to be honest. We have to be honest. And I really appreciate what you said about your father being there. A girlfriend of mine, and I know she's watching the show, she said, listen, we grew up, our father and mother, in the same home. And she said, well, you know, long time, children really couldn't answer back their parents. Right?
Yeah.
And if you did that, you know the consequences.
Yeah.
So she and her sisters and they would talk about what going on with mommy and daddy and etc. etc. So, but the father remained in the home with the mother for years. And when she got big woman, leave home on her own, she and her parents could talk now. She's a big woman. And she got the opportunity to tell her mother, mommy, all you really feel all you was fooling me? You know?
Wow.
And she said, I told my mother all it wasn't fooling us, right? So that the pain, she had to live with that pain in the house until she was old enough, finish school, get a job, move out, and which caused her to move out from home even earlier than she probably wanted to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Caused her to move out from home earlier, looking for house at a parent and thing, only because she just wanted to get away from that. Again, but our culture, you know, teaches us that if you have a partner, something wrong with you. A woman have a man, something wrong with she. You are no man. A man have a woman, want to you, but you ain't married yet. Or you don't have children at an early age. What are you waiting on? You know, our culture have us in that kind of stream that
Yes.
we had to be living with a man, and if a woman living by she said, but what's wrong with she? No man ain't what she our. And it's a kind of culture similarly to being ushered into marriage quick instead of go to school, get your full certificates, be the best that you can be, study, you know, settle your career, you know, that kind of thing. And then it's not like that. It's go to
Yeah.
school, you finish your school, you get a subject, look for a husband, married, as your married children. Most of us. I'm not so sure the younger generation been into that, but most of us, the more mature folks, that is the narrative we are accustomed to.
Yes.
So that being by yourself and saying, listen, let me dig into myself. Let me acknowledge who I am.
Yes.
Let me get on my pathway to fulfill my destiny. Nah, boy, this thing's sweet. What I now discover in life. You see, once you're doing that, something wrong with you. You have to have, how you looking nice, so girl? Hey, warrior, how you looking nice, so maybe the husband, boy. You know? Or Carissa, or Storm, how you looking nice, so that wife doing you good. It could never be because we find ourselves. It could never be because we are so complete now and we are loving ourselves that we in a position now to embrace somebody into our lives. So we wasn't ready then when we were younger. We married and it didn't work out. But now, hey, we now feel we could deal with our partner because we so understand who we are. Yeah, I could really deal with a man now in my life or a woman now in my life. Nah, something wrong with you. Something had to be wrong with you if you're by yourself.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you're preaching. You're preaching. And that's what I firmly believe that that's what we need to be. That's what the conversation needs to be about in terms of, especially from very young, that we push that individual focuses on themselves love themselves, learn how to love themselves, learn about this one, and feel that sense of completeness and wholeness. Now, that doesn't mean that you will not have issues in your relationship.
True.
That doesn't mean that, because the issues are meant to help us to grow. It helps us to think differently, to expand. There is no, as you said, no perfect relationship, because there is nothing in life that is perfect, because otherwise, how will we grow? How will we expand? That's what the challenges are designed to help us to do. However, one of the most, and one of my girlfriend and I, we were just talking about that. You become a super attractive person. And when I say attractive, I mean that people, not only persons of the opposite sex, but people will be looking at you and like, what is it about you? When you start doing that work within yourself and engineering yourself to completely love and embrace who you are and to step fully in your power, what happens? You attract someone who is compatible, who is whole and complete. A whole and complete person will not attract someone who is not whole and complete. It just wouldn't happen. It just would not happen. You as a whole and complete person, you feeling good within yourself, feeling good about yourself. You don't need anyone. You don't need anyone. You desire to have a partner to then supercharge your experience. So you're feeling yourself, you're powerful within yourself, and you're good within yourself. And you then desire to have someone to share that goodness with, to share that awesomeness with, and to move in a I like to call it, my partner, I call our relationship a supercharged relationship. Because we're powerful on our own, but we supercharge together. And so by having that type of outlook and that type of mindset, you know what? I could go away on my own and I feel whole and complete, and he does the same thing. And we know when we come together, we create a magical hybrid of a life together. And so that is what I want to encourage our listeners to really and truly seek, that feeling of wholeness and completeness within themselves, which then makes them an attractive person to someone who is whole and complete as well.
And what you said there is ideal. It's like the alpha male and the alpha female coming together. Although there are persons who said, look, opposites attract. Opposites attract, a strong and a weak. One had to help each other. But I think I understand where you are going, even though you would have one who is stronger than the other. And, because the ocean is not calm all the time. You have, the ocean is rough at times, really rough. And you might have one partner who is fiery, and you need a partner who is calm to come in to tell that fiery person, hey, take it down. Take it down. Take down your fire warrior. And you have that partner who just calm, and everything is everything, and you need somebody with the fire to light some fire under the backside to say, hey, time to move.
Yes.
Let's move. So you need the opposing energies at times, but there must still be a synergy.
Yes.
There must still be synergistic energies working together to move forward. It mustn't be two slothful persons or two fiery people. Oh gosh, that is real fire, right? I'm going to put you in a funny position, but I know you can handle it, right? Okay. I'm going to put you in a position with the next question or discussion rather, which will climax our discussion. We live in a society where polygamy, by definition of the word, is where you can legally marry to more than one woman. Polygamy. Polyandry is on the male, a woman marrying more than one man. Now that is not practiced in our culture in the Caribbean, right? We know that really came from ancient time, and it's still practiced in Africa and Islamic states, etc. However, in Trinidad and Tobago, we have what we commonly call horning, or a person have a mistress or an outside woman, and whatever definition. A lot of people said that has kept their relationship, right? One brother told me, let me tell you something. If I didn't have my other lady, I would have left my wife long time. Because I don't think my wife possessed the capacity for me to discuss certain things with her that I could discuss with my other friend. You know? So that he believed if I didn't have my friend, I'd pack up and leave my wife long time. And vice versa. Here he coming from the other side. What is your take on it? Right? Of course, speaking, it may not be your personal preference, but let me hear what you have to contribute, because again, what may not work for us may work very well for somebody else. Let me hear your take on such arrangement, because it's happening in Trinidad and Tobago. It's well and alive. We know that. Yeah. Let's not as they say, let me don't act like we now jump out the shoebox we brand new. It is happening. It is. Some people know. They're very aware of it happening. Some say, well, me ain't lying that bother me, nah. I is missus. Yeah. I ain't lying that bother me. And some people, nah, they ain't want no part of that. So let me hear your take on it. Given what I said about some saying it adds some sort of sanity. It brings some sort of sanity to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. It happens. I am a product of one of those.
You see, and I didn't know. A little birdie must be whispering theirs, boy.
I am a product of such a relationship. Again, it's always, there is no blueprint. I firmly believe there's no blueprint, and it is what works for the parties involved. And yes, I have heard people say that in terms of, I need to have that in order for this to work. And sometimes it's what we convince ourselves of, really. There is that as well. We convince ourselves that is what will work, because sometimes we're not in the place to really look at our situations and determine, is this really serving me? Is this really serving me? So we try to supplement otherwise. The other challenge is the dishonesty of those situations. That is the main issue, the dishonesty around having multiple partners. And now there is another dynamic called polyamory, whereby all parties know about each other.
Yeah.
So it extracts the dishonesty, it extracts the secrecy. Now polyamory, believe it, and it's so fascinating to me, because we have normalized the horning. We have normalized the outside man and the outside woman, and we're okay with it. But then the other dynamic that then allows for such a situation whereby it's honest. Everybody the wife knows about the other woman, or the other woman. Everyone knows, and there is that dynamics which it exists in Trinidad, but it exists in its minority and under the radar, because then again society says, no, what's that about?
But
how are you doing that?
But Carissa, what I can ask, what do you rather? That we fooling ourselves, or we believe that I am the only person and there is another individual, right? Which a lot of people say, half are we getting horn anyway? Some know and some know. What would you rather? That you know who the individual is so that you could assess. Is either you could deal with it, and you talk about honesty. It's either you could deal with it or you cannot deal with it.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of our foreparents, we had to go too far back,
Yeah.
right? Our grandmothers, our mothers even knew that their
Yes.
husband had a mistress.
Yeah.
They knew. Sometimes children
Yes.
came out of that other relationship, right? A lot of times too, when the marital home had nothing, we feel the man getting assistance from it from the other lady who might be in a better position. And just to digress a bit, that was the purpose. We're going back to ancient time. As I said, polygamy, I know, is illegal in Trinidad. We do it how we choose to do it in the Caribbean, a man have an ex-woman, wherever. I'm talking the legal terms here.
Yeah.
Polygamy has its origin in ancient time. Even the said Bible speak about polygamy,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Of the holiest of holies, the men
Yes.
practice polygamy, and it was basically to build communities. It was done for a specific reason.
Yeah.
I myself would say, when I look at what some people are trying to do, I don't think it can be mirrored to what was done back then and the purpose, because you rightfully said it didn't have no secret. Everybody knew one another. All the children knew everybody. That my brother, that my sister, from this mother, from this father, didn't have no animosity. Maybe there will always be jealousy, because even in the days of Sarah and Hagar in the Bible,
Yes.
they had bacchanal, and we know Sarah made the husband put out Hagar. Look how long that was. So it always had jealousy between women from way back in biblical time. But the children, that my brother, that my sister, it was about building communities. But when we fast forward the thing now in society, we see sometimes you wonder what is the real purpose. Is it for sexual reasons? What really going on there? You know, what kind of community building there? Is it just for sexual reasons? You see somebody who looking better than your wife or better than your husband, and you said something that's very important: honesty. Honesty. That's what you want. Come out and talk with your partner. Is either you could deal with it or you cannot deal with it.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know, we often think that monogamy is the choice. And I'm just going to say it plain. We think that monogamy is the only choice that we have, because that's how we were cultured.
Exactly.
Especially in the West. It's purely how we were cultured to believe that monogamy is the only option. And so when we realize that, and most people who practice porning, most people who practice porning will still tell you that I'm monogamous, but that's not true. You're not monogamous. That is not the definition of monogamy. And so it comes back to us being, what we started by saying, being true to yourself. And recognizing that, listen, I have a proclivity, and my proclivity and my preference is that, yes, I am with you and I will be here with you. However, I also am interested in other people. And that requires you to be true to yourself. It requires very much to be aware of yourself and to be honest and upfront. That you present this. You no longer take away the choice from your partner. You present this to them and allow them now to decide, is this something that I could be a part of or not? And let them decide. That is a part of the compatibility as well. So you don't have to hide being your true self.
Exactly.
You don't have to try to hide it from this person who you say that you love and this person that you're committed to. You can be your true self with them by being open and honest about what it is that you desire.
And you put it so straightforward. You package it so nice. At the end of the day, whatever it is, whether it's with the man, whether it's with the woman, be your true self. And be your true self, as you are saying, from up front. Do not wait until you get married or you're living together to be your true self, because you're going to come out. Whoever you are is going to surface.
Yes.
People can only pretend for a specific time, and no amount of money in a relationship would keep you. No amount, it doesn't matter. Self is like something that's in a bottle. It's going to come out eventually once that cork is removed. And once we are true with ourselves, this allows for a more open relationship, a more happy relationship, where things can flow smooth. Again, either we accept or we reject. But it gives us a chance to be who we are, or find partners who are aligned to us. I use them back your word because I love it.
Yeah.
Because that's it at the end of the day. To live a fulfilling relationship, we must be aligned. Let me use the word fulfilling, because you could remain in the relationship, but it would not be fulfilling.
No.
So,
No.
Carissa, let me give you the chance to leave us with some parting words, what you would like to leave with our viewers, for persons who are in relationships, challenging, even the happy ones. Leave us with some parting words.
So thank you so much for the honor of being here with you. And the way that I see it, this conversation is really, it's an opportunity for us to start thinking differently about relationships, because we know the result of a lot of our relationships. Then we have a lot of unhealthy, unhappy, dysfunctional relationships, which means that the ingredients that we have been putting in to those relationships, they're not working. They're not working, and we keep trying to do and put in the same ingredients over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So what I would like to say is, wherever you are in terms of in your relationship, if you're single, you're thinking about being in a relationship, you are in a relationship, you are thinking about getting a divorce, really and truly allow yourself, take that time to look within yourself. Look within yourself first and foremost, and ask the pertinent questions. Ask, is this what I'm doing currently? Is this working for me? Is this serving me? Is this supporting me? The way that I am thinking, because that is what creates action or beliefs and or thoughts. The way that I am thinking about myself, about this relationship, about this person, is this serving my highest and my best good? A lot of times we're not thinking about things critically, and we just get into something because it's the default reaction or the default response. So we want to start thinking differently. In addition to that, for people who are in or who are about to get into relationship, or who are thinking about it, spend that time with yourself. Spend that time nurturing yourself, loving on yourself, and being your best fan. Being your best fan.
I think
and
that's a good note to end on. Being your best fan. Be your best cheerleader, or your number one cheerleader. Carissa, we out of time. I think we went a little over, but that's all right. It's a topic that is so dynamic. I want to take the opportunity on behalf of Gael and the Feminine Drive to thank you immensely for giving us of your time and sharing your experiences with us, and valuable information. I am sure we have persons would have taken away something or things from all that you said. So thanks again. And as with all my other guests, we can't get enough of you in an hour. Very possible that I will bring you back on to discuss something else. Yeah? So
anytime.
Enjoy the rest of your Friday evening, and God bless.
Thanks.
So, beautiful, beautiful conversations between Warrior Empress, or dialogue rather, between Warrior Empress and Carissa Daniel. Was really, really enlightening. Never too old to learn. And I myself picked up a few tips, eh? Yes, man. So, here is where we say goodbye until another Friday. Hey, this weekend is Father's Day. And Saturday, tomorrow, 8 p.m. in the Gael, we are celebrating Father's Day with the concert Vocals and Steel. You don't want to miss that. Queen Omega, Warrior Empress, Lady Adana, Natasha Joseph and Pan, and we are all backed by a live band. We just call them the Cutters. Rodney Alexander, Emil Abraham, Alpha Simpson, Olumbe on drums. Listen to me, the Cutters. You don't want to miss that concert. So see you tomorrow for the concert, and see you next week on another episode of The Feminine Drive. Take care.